Clementon Park is one of the oldest amusement parks in the world. Opening way back in 1907, this New Jersey park is rich in history, but it has had a tumultuous past decade, seemingly closing forever after the 2019 season. However, the park was saved by Gene Staples and reopened for the 2021 season. But is this historic park worth visiting? Find out in this review of Clementon Park. This park was founded by the Gibbs family and opened back in 1907. The park found early success because of a trolley that ran from Camden, New Jersey to the park, and Clementon is one of the last remaining trolley parks out there. Arguably the best feature of this park is the setting. The park is located on Clementon Lake. You can't quite see the water from the amusement park's midways, but you do get a nice view from all the taller rides. And the park has an impressive skyline from the roadways around the park. In 1977, the park was sold to the Baker family. The park continued to be family-owned until 2007 when it was purchased by Adrenaline Family Entertainment. These owners made some nice additions to both the amusement and water park. Just 4 years later in 2011, Premier Parks purchased the property. Ride offerings remained relatively stagnant during this period while costs continued to rise. In late 2019, Clementon Park suddenly and quietly closed. Guests arrived for a customer appreciation day to find the park closed. There was no mention in the park's website, and the social media accounts had been deactivated. The park seemed doomed, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, but Gene Staples purchased the park at an auction in early 2021 for nearly $2.4 million. Staples had formed IB Parks after saving Indiana Beach in 2020. Much like that property, Clementon Park had the infrastructure and rides in place. It just needed TLC and a new owner that wanted to run it as an amusement park. The park reopened in 2021, but not all the rides were available. The park pretty much reopened fully in 2022. Work is still underway though. During my visit in mid-August, there are additional family rides being installed. Then the park's lone adult roller coaster in Hellcat has had spotty operations in 2022 to say the least. While it got some track work prior to reopening, it has been closed repeatedly for work this season. Shortly after its reopening in June, people would often find it closed on weekdays. More recently, I know people who missed out on the coaster on Labor Day weekend. Prior to my visit in mid-August, the ride was listed as temporarily closed on the website for additional track work. I was planning on skipping the park with Hellcat closed, but when I called the park, I was told Hellcat would reopen later that day. When I arrived, maintenance was working on the ride's drop for a large chunk of the day, but it did open for the final 3 hours. Now to be blunt, this coaster is rough. It's so shaky that the park will not allow anyone to sit in the back 2 cars at this time. I really hope more track work is planned because this coaster most definitely needs it. Hellcat has an amazing layout designed by none other than Alan Schilke, and those who experienced it in its opening year without the trim brake gave it rave reviews, praising the airtime and laterals. But now it's a sluggish mess mostly free of forces, unless you count the jackhammering. Check out my review if you want to hear more. The only other coaster at this park is a relocated kiddie coaster from Beaucraft and the Dragon Coaster. Over half the rows were unavailable during my visit, but it is an above average kiddie coaster with some strong laterals on the helixes. A retracked Hellcat would give this park a signature coaster, but they still could use another supporting coaster or two. They especially need a family coaster because there's nothing bridging the gap between Dragon Coaster and Hellcat. The park doesn't have too many flat rides, but they do have a well-rounded lineup. You have a few spinning rides and a few pendulum rides. Then you have 2 rides that offer great views. The giant Ferris wheel lets you leisurely take in your surroundings, while Thunderdrop offers a far more intense experience. This is one of those Larson arm drop towers. It may stand just 8 stories tall, but that drop is absolutely gut-wrenching. It mixes airtime and that glorious stomach-dropping sensation. It's easily the park's best attraction in my opinion. The park's King Neptune's Revenge log flume is located entirely on the lake, which is a really cool setting. The drops aren't too thrilling in this one though, and the transitions into them are surprisingly bumpy for this type of ride, but you will come off quite wet, if that's a positive. And it's worth noting if you visit alone, this flume requires at least 2 people per boat. Speaking of wet, there's also the Splash World water park. It's included with admission. It's not the biggest water park out there, but that's where most of this park's crowds flock to. You have a mat racer, a super steep trapdoor slide, and some tube slides. There's also a lazy river, a wave pool, and a water play structure for the kids and families. Speaking of kids, on the dry side, all the kids' rides are located under this giant archway wedged between some storage sheds. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing area, but it's nice how kids can bounce from ride to ride while parents can relax on the benches in the middle. And the covering offers some much appreciated shade. The rest of the park is pretty sparse on shade though. Definitely pack your sunscreen if you're visiting this park, or you'll be burned quite literally. But most of the park looked to be in pretty good shape considering it was closed just a few years ago. From an operational standpoint, the biggest issue in 2022 was Hellcat's day-to-day availability. It's not the best coaster in the world, but it's certainly annoying when any park has a coaster down, especially when it's the only major one a park has. The park does have a ride closure board out front, but it doesn't always include Hellcat even when it's closed, which is annoying. The other weird quirk with this park is that Hellcat's exit dumps you off in the park's picnic pavilion. If that's not weird enough, you need to go past a security checkpoint just to re-enter the park. I can't say I've ever seen anything like that at any other park. The staff members I encountered in 2022 were far superior to those in 2017. Back in 2017, almost all the employees were eerily quiet. They weren't even reading off safety spiels prior to guests boarding. They were just silently checking restraints and dispatching rides without any emotion. It sort of felt like a zombie apocalypse, especially because the dry park was so quiet. There were more employees than guests. The park felt more lively in 2022. The employees were interacting with guests this time, and the park was a bit more crowded. Almost every ride was still a walk-on, with the exception being the two coasters which were basically running at half capacity due to all the rows being unavailable. I didn't venture into the water park, but those slides seemed to have some waits, albeit manageable ones. Despite the lack of crowds, I was surprised how late the park was routinely open until 8 or 9 p.m. throughout the summer. Tickets for adults cost $40 as of 2022. I think that's quite the price to pay if you're exclusively a coaster enthusiast, especially because Hellcat's operation has been so sporadic. However, I think it is worth considering if you enjoy amusement and water parks as a whole, especially because lines are so minimal. I do appreciate how the new owners removed the parking fee added under Premier's ownership. As for how much time you'll need, it depends on your interests. If you only care about the coasters, I would call the park the day of your visit to confirm if Hellcat is running. If it is, you may only need an hour at this park. If the ride isn't open, you at least have plenty of other parks nearby. If you want to try more than just the coasters, I think this ultimately is a half-day park given the ride offerings and the low crowds. The final thing I want to note is the park's food offerings. The park brought in some popular chains such as Chickies and Pete's and Pizza Hut. It was a mix of multinational chains and local chains, which is pretty impressive to see for a park of this size. So do I recommend Clementon Park? As it currently stands, I don't really recommend the park for coaster enthusiasts. Hellcat, between its roughness and operational status, isn't worth a visit in my opinion. However, that all changes if that coaster is fully retracked because the ride has immense potential if it ran smoothly. But the park as a whole is worth considering if you want to rack up a lot of rides and slides in short order. It's more about the package of this park than the coasters. The families I saw seem to be having a blast. So those are my thoughts on Clementon Park. What do you think about this New Jersey park? Do you think it's faring better under IB Park's ownership? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.